You're listening to the Chopped Podcast, episode number 71. Hey everyone, I'm Marley of the blog Namely Marley. Thanks for joining me today for the 71st episode of the Chopped Podcast. You know this is the podcast designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. You've tuned in for another episode of FriChats. Today it's just me talking straight at you. Today's topic is how tennis is like blogging. First of all, you have to know something about me. I really love tennis. I've actually really liked watching tennis for a long time. And then when Sean and I got married, well, actually, even before Sean and I got married, Addie, my daughter, and I would go out and play, and she took lessons. And then I met Sean, and Sean loves to play tennis. And so we started playing together, of course. So we both like to watch tennis on TV, and we also like to play it. In fact, when the weather allows it, Sean and I are probably out hitting most nights just for the fun of it. But we also play for the exercise and fun, but we also play competitively in leagues too. When Sean and I hit together, I feel like I'm swinging freely, and he hits tough shots and I get them back. Well, at least most of them anyway. And anyway, it makes me feel strong and tough, and I really like that feeling. And then I get into a competitive match and a different me is on the court. I feel like I might as well be swinging at wiffle balls or something. My arms are heavy, my feet are like cement, but I'm also tight and frustrated too. So I've made some observations about how I play in a match versus how I'm playing when I'm just playing for fun. And I've come to these three realizations that the ways that blogging and tennis are similar. So let's just start with that, right? So the first one is when I'm nervous, I restrict my skills. So I've decided that when I'm nervous in a match, and I do really get nervous sometimes. I mean, really nervous, like my heart is pounding sometimes. It's ridiculous because there's really nothing on the line except my pride, I guess. But when I'm like that, I restrict my ability to play. I figure I may have about 40% of my skills available to me. And if I let that play out, I lose. Usually I will lose a match. So I've started doing some things to kind of help me get past that nervousness. And some of that is things like deep breathing exercises. I'll breathe in for a long count and breathe out for a long count. And I start bouncing in place just to kind of keep my feet moving, or I even chuckle to myself just to kind of help me relax. And the other day I was actually losing a match and I was seriously behind. And when I finally realized I needed to relax, I started to do those things that I just mentioned to you, and then things changed. And before long, the match was tied. And then we went into a tiebreaker, and guess what? I won. So I think there's really some good benefit to making sure that I'm staying relaxed on the court. So you may be asking, how does this apply to blogging? You may think, I'm not nervous when I'm blogging, but are you? I mean, sure, your heart may not be racing, but that doesn't mean you're not nervous. Are you worried you don't know everything you need to know about SEO? Are you, thinking about that someone is better than you, that they take better photos? Do you feel anxious when you're on Pinterest because you feel like people are out there just creating more content than you're behind? Are you stressed that you're not spending enough time on social media? Oh my gosh, does it seem like we could spend all day on social media? All of this presents itself in your body as nervousness or worrying, and it can hold you back. So let go of those worries by meditating, repeating affirmations, and staying connected with what I call your true self. One of my favorite affirmations on the court, and at other times really too, is just to say the word confidence. And I let the words sit in my mind for a minute, and then I let that fuel my behavior. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Judgment. Okay, I'm going to be completely transparent with you all because sometimes on the court, I judge others. I look at my opponent and I say, well, she has bad form. She must not be very good. Therefore, I should win. And then when that woman and her bad form is beating my butt, I get anxious and frustrated. Off the courts, you may know me as this fun, nice person, but on the tennis courts in a match, oh, this other person in me comes out. I'm moody, dark, and sometimes downright angry. And I know it's okay to experience those things. I'm learning to embrace all the sides of who I am. However, I find that this dark side of me doesn't help me play my best. So I'm learning to be neutral in a match, to release judgment. I release judgment of my opponent. I release judgment of myself for being angry or for not hitting each ball perfectly. And I'm learning that this releasing of judgment helps. It really does work. So how is this like blogging? Well, how much do you judge yourself for not being perfect? Maybe you think you don't like your photos, or maybe your photo got rejected by a food gawker and now you're distressed, or maybe someone at a conference didn't talk to you and now you're hurt. I'm being completely honest here. I have created judgments about bloggers I didn't even know based on their photos on their on their sites or social media. Seriously, I would do this. If they looked too smug or too smirky or maybe kind of mean girly, I would create this whole story about them. Like, maybe I didn't even want to get to know them based on the story I created about them in my head based on a two-dimensional photo. The story would be something like I didn't like them, or maybe I would create a story that they probably wouldn't like me, or maybe I'd create a story that would say, oh, sure, she's successful. She's got the perfect life. She's got pretty hair, a handsome husband, 2.4 kids, and a golden retriever to boot. So these kinds of judgments I've learned do not help me be my best as a blogger. So I'm working every day to release these kinds of judgments, to be more neutral about these kinds of situations. I actually wear a red string on my right wrist. I borrowed this from the mystic spiritual tradition, which is called Kabbalah. Let's go with Kabbalah. I wear this red string to remind myself of three things. 1, what others think of me is none of my business. 2, what I think of others is none of my business, unless it's someone who I think could put me in danger. Then it's obviously very important. But for the most part, what I think of others is really not something I need to be worried about. I need to be more neutral. And 3, what I think of me is my business, and it needs to begin with love. Okay, so let's go to the third point of how tennis and blogging are similar. There's something about the present moment that's very important in tennis. It's huge. In fact, if someone is watching my match, for example, I might think, ooh, I really want to impress this person. I want them to think I'm such an amazing player. They might think, wow, that Marley, she's an awesome tennis player. But giving into that thought in a match is a surefire way to make the opposite happen. Another thing that will happen is I may get distracted by the score. I might think something like, if I win this point, then I will be in a good position to take this set, and then I will win the match. Or if I get behind, I might think the opposite. If I don't win this point, then she's going to win. Again, these are kinds of thoughts that are they're like death sentences to my skills and ability. Another thing is my opponent might have a glitch in her serve that kind of is distracting, or a siren might go off in the distance. All of these things are distractions that take me away from the moment. In fact, my goal with tennis is to pay attention to the process. Am I swinging through the ball? Am I aiming for wide targets rather than going for tough on the line shots that can lead to what we call in tennis unforced errors? Blogging can be the same way. Being in the present moment is crucial. I just feel like at any given moment that, there's 50 to 100 things that we could be doing, right? Is our Pinterest queue filled for the month? Have we done any keyword research for a post that we're working on? Have we responded to emails from readers? Did I post anything to Instagram today? Do I have ingredients for this new recipe that I'm thinking about working on? Any of these tasks can send me in a completely different direction. And I've had days, honestly, where I felt like I have been doing all of these things simultaneously. But I don't think those are the days where I'm at my best. In fact, I feel like I'm at my best when I do have a plan and I'm following that plan. And I've seen some people, they create plans where they work in batches, or, they do photos on one day, they write posts on another, they do social media scheduling on another. I've also learned that for me, turning off notifications on my computer really helps. So if I see that red button that says I've got an email message, I'm immediately distracted and I really kind of want to know what that is. And 9 times out of 10, it's junk mail. So I just feel like turning off those notifications really helps me. Whatever the plan is, know what helps you do your best. Okay, one more thing. I know I said 3 things, but I've got one more thing to share that I think tennis should have in common with blogging. In tennis, there are times when each player walks off the court and they take a break. They grab a drink, they chat with each other, and they just take a breather. I think the same thing is true for blogging. Promise yourself that each day you will do at least one thing that you absolutely love. Maybe create a list of things that can make you happy so that you can refer to that list. For me, it might be listening to a favorite song and just dancing. It could be taking a walk or meditating, maybe a quick workout. Maybe let yourself feel all artistic and paint a new food photography background. That's kind of related to what you're doing, but it's touches an artistic side of yourself that can make you just feel lost in the moment. And that's so important. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us for FriChats. Head over to choppedpodcast.com to see the notes for today's discussion, or if you'd like to sign up for our weekly email newsletter to get tips on food blogging, you can do that there as well. Here's to something inspirational coming your way today.